I hope you can hear me over this thing, because if not, then that will suck. I don't know. I waited for them to stop, but they just keep going. So I'm just gonna do this very, very quickly. Hi, how are you? Hope you're good. You already know what the book was for the book diary, and if not, then that's in the title, so now you know. It's A Darker Shade of Magic by V.E. Schwab, and without further ado, I think we're just gonna go on and do the thing. And so I've decided to sit down and start this because... Are you licking my hair? It is the 7th of April and I haven't started this, and there's already people who have posted things in the Goodreads group, and I want to know what they said, and I cannot read it because I haven't started yet. Do you mind? Oh my god. Ignore the weird cat butt amount that is going on in this vlog now. I think Zeus is hunting a crow. Okay, so it's 2 hours later. I got distracted. I started reading the news and then I got all sad because I read the news. Then Cam uploaded his Q&A, so of course I had to watch that. Anyway, 2 hours later, I finished the first chapter, aka first 3 sub-chapters. I'm so happy because oh my god, I'm loving it. Like, nothing really happened yet, but I love the writing style, I love the pace of it, I love just the general vibe of it. It's just... I'm only, what is this, 30 pages in? And I love it! I don't know where this is going. I assume this is gonna be something to do with maybe Dark London being still a thing or something like that, but I honestly have no idea. But I love it, and I'm so pumped because so far I didn't have a book that I was like, yay! And now I am. I think for some reason I had a wrong idea about how the London thing works, because I knew this is gonna be about London, but because the American version of the cover is like the person sort of stepping into another world, but from the cover it actually looks like it's underground. So I thought that in the book it actually is an upper world and then an underground one. And no, it's not. But I do suspect that the Black London is gonna be either a thing or like a further theme. But I could be wrong. I hope so, because I'm painfully good at predicting things, which sucks because I like to be surprised. So, okay, so we have the red one, which is like a healthy empire. But I also am getting the feeling, because the main character, Kel, is from there, and I get the feeling that they're a little bit like full of themselves as well. They have this like, we're slightly better than everyone else vibe going on, which is a bit annoying. My camera is gonna die. Fuck. And apparently is hiding his absolutely black eye, which I love. I like how it's so unsettling, and I like how it's so characteristic. I love it. I just think that the writing style is just so much up my alley. King George was written, the blind guy. It was brilliant. I especially like this bit when it says, a cloud passed across King George's face, and then he simply shook his head and said time, as if that one world could be to blame for everything. Don't know what our homes smell like. We always know when we go to somebody else's home how their home smells like, but you never smell your own. Do you know what I mean? You don't. When you visit a friend, their house has the specific their house sort of smell, and then you clearly have one in your house, but you can't identify it unless you leave for a prolonged period of time and then you come back. Oh, I'm just enjoying this writing style so much. I'm so happy, can you tell? That's a little bit of a weird angle, but it'll do. The prince ended nearly every sentence with a period. Rai was the same way, and Kel thought it must simply be a byproduct of never being told no. Whoa! I mean, we can all name at least one person in our lives that is basically acting as he's royalty. I'm sure we can. It's just little gems like that. I just love it. I love it so much. Like, boy, like, I love this. Guys, you know with hyped books, like, there's always a chance you're gonna be the one that doesn't like it. And like, that's quite usual for me. I didn't really think this Goodreads group too well, because I don't want to speak too much on the actual Goodreads group, because then it's just gonna be repeating what I said here, and then I'm gonna repeat that also on Instagram when speaking to people, and on the Goodreads it's just gonna be repeating myself over and over again. Maybe I can go on and read the chapter that I just read for the comments there, and read those comments, or some of them, to you, and react to those comments on the video, so then people who wrote the comments can see me reacting to their comments. You know what I'm getting. So yeah, I'm so excited about reading these comments. This was like almost my main motivation to like go ahead and start. Why is my Wi-Fi so slow? Nobody wrote in the travelers yet. Aww. Also, just before I continue, I really hope that this Raikai and Kel are like an item. I just want that to be a thing. I'm just reading a few bits further where another Atari, or whatever it's called, Ankari, it's probably not it. He comes to visit the prince. He's the prince, right? He obliterated the guards, didn't he? I just want to say one more time how I admire the writing of this. You're not overwhelmed by details, but the details that are mentioned are so cinematographic that you feel like you're watching a TV show. I bloody love this. I love this. I feel very strongly about it apparently as well. And we still don't know what he gave to the prince, and I'm not sure if they are like also lovers, because it was made clear that he's sort of like, he can swing either way. So I'm not sure if he is like friendly with the prince, or if it was a trap or something. I'm not sure why he would hide the fact that he was meeting him if it was all fine. So I don't know what's the dealio, but it's literally like 2 or 3 pages, and I already feel invested in the guards. Like, who writes like that? But yeah, apparently he can just delete memories, so that's interesting. So we sort of learned that color red is supposed to represent royalty and strong magic, which is fine, but it sort of pushes it to be a bit purebloods only sort of thing, but whatever. I really enjoyed the atmosphere that was painted for the market. It really felt like one of my favorite indie games is like, well, my favorite indie game is called Dreamfall, and you go into this other world of magic basically as well, and they also have market there. You can go to the market, and the way it was explained here, it just really reminded me of that, and it's such a great atmosphere. And also someone outside was playing a flute, so this really just painted the picture even better for me. It made me so heartbroken though that he couldn't even enjoy it, because he really just wanted to enjoy it, Kel did, and then he can't because someone recognized him and then started bowing and stuff like that, and yeah, he had to flee. You know when Rai is pushing Kel into the wall after he's confronting him about basically taking tokens from other Londons, and that scene, I legitimately really hoped that it's gonna be some sort of passion scene and they're gonna start kissing, but I think that's not gonna happen, because they're all acting as if they're family even if they're not and stuff. Crushing my dream. He has the secret apartment where he gathers things. He is like a magician niffler is what I thought when I was reading it. Like, he is a niffler. So that was quite funny to me. I love it though. I love that he has a secret. And it was actually really sad when he was going to sleep, and I don't know how to explain this properly, but I feel like it is written in such a cinematographic way that even I could see him and I could feel the slow atmosphere of the music box like slowing down and dying and him falling asleep. It's just so well written. I'm so glad I picked this up. It's so I can't handle it. And it was so heartbroken because he just doesn't know. Apparently it's a massive crime to delete somebody's memories, or you get a mark from that. I was also thinking, isn't it the same what the other Antari did to the guard? But yeah, apparently it's like a proper crime, and he has the mark and he doesn't know where he came from. And now I'm thinking, because I still want this Black London to be a thing, so I'm thinking maybe he was the last survivor from like the Black London, but probably not, because like how old can he be? I'm sure we will learn about his past and it's probably gonna be of major importance for the book, but I wanna know now. And I was already thinking a little bit of Avatar when they said, you know, that people get elements and then they're marked with like, well, not marked, but they have like pebbles for those elements and stuff like that. And then he said that he would be a perfect vessel to like draw all the energy, and if they could replicate them, then it would be, you know, like insane, and it could be a weapon. That made me think that he is like Avatar, like from the Avatar The Last Airbender universe. He is the Avatar. I think I'm just gonna stop here today. Like, I'm reading quite slowly, but I still, at least I read 58 pages, so that's 58 pages more than I read yesterday. And the day before that, and the day before that. Anyway, I am thinking if I should take a nap or not. Probably shouldn't, seeing that it's 9 o'clock. Yeah. Okay, bye. This is Zeus's favorite activity. Zeus, why? I used to have a pineapple plant. This is an accurate representation of what happened to that one. Hello. I actually left the flat. That happens from like time to time. Reading The Crooked Kingdom. I haven't read that yet, but I got my dark shades here. Gonna go read a bit outside. Woo! So I've just finished The White Thief, The Great Thief? Great Thief. Didn't have many thoughts. At first, I'm not big on multiple point of views sort of thing. So I was a bit like, oh my god, no, I just got into it and now you're changing it. So I didn't really care for it for the first chapter, and then the second one. I never thought I would say this, but her almost being raped really got me interested in this. Not words I plan to say on today or ever. And now I'm sort of suspecting, because she came back to the end and she says that she keeps being drawn in there. So I'm sort of expecting her to have, like, obviously a bigger role in this and possibly travel between worlds. Maybe she's like an unknown, I don't know. She can be a traveler because she doesn't have a black eye, but I don't know, maybe that can be sold. She also puts a lot of value on freedom, so I'm wondering what happened to her, because it seems all she cares about. Anyway, it's cold, so I'm gonna go back in. I really like her view on females, and when she said, I think I marked it, when she said, I really don't understand why anybody would pretend to be weak on, ow! She said, I really don't understand why anyone would pretend to be weak, so that was cool. I have a few minutes to read before I am Skyping with Lauren from Lauren Mays. I'm very anxious about tomorrow for my dentist and stuff, so I'm freaking out about that, but I'm trying to, you know, remember. Doesn't matter if I'm gonna panic, what happens is still gonna happen. So being in a little bit of a vertigo state, that's the most accurate way I can describe it. Guys, I'm dead. It's the 14th, I think, of April, and for the whole month I have read 98 pages. What is this month? Was I not ill in my previous video? I feel like I'm always ill. Sound of an ill person. I have an ear infection, by the way, if you wanted to know. They were talking about this pool of water that is for reflection, and I keep thinking that this is like Pensieve, you know, from Harry Potter. And so in these chapters, Kel goes over to the White London, and it's really interesting how I didn't expect this book to have clear good guys and bad guys. I thought it's gonna be a bit more like a Game of Thrones sort of thing, where you have characters that are more likable universally, but they're still not made as bad guys only. But no, we have bad guys, and bad guys we have. Like, if I'm writing something, I'm always a bit hesitant to make someone bad guy. This book so far, I think, proves that sometimes the bad guys are bad guys, and it's okay to write them as such, because I love how she wrote the characters of the brother and sister. I can't remember the names now. I always stuck with the names. So I think the way she portrayed them was just so pure and evil. There was nothing good about them. The way they bond other people to them is just so cruel. And I love it. I am probably, if you've spoken with me about these sort of things, you know I love some gore and I love some pure evilness, and not this very predictable like soft evilness, but like actual evilness, you know, psychopath level of evilness. I love reading about characters like that. I love it. So I was really pleasantly surprised about that. It's just so vindictive to actually bond somebody to you but leave their mind intact so they know that they suffer. And when the brother, the male character brother, I really need to learn the names, he said nobody suffers like you. Or even just before that, when he just threw the coin to the mother, said for your loss, a coin, like a tiny bit of money, for your loss. And then at the nighttime they send someone to grab that kid that didn't bow to him in the street, and all just sounds so vindictive. And once they actually bring him back, they say, he says to the guards that obviously beaten him up, he says this was supposed to be my job. And that is just so odd, you know, because that's just so evil. I love it. I love those characters. And the sister would like toying with him, with Kel, saying I want to keep him, that's bizarre. Maybe there's something to be said about me loving these bits, but you know what, let's just not go there. Astrid is the female of the Danes, and the bit where they explain how she looks like, even that just seems like evilness. It's like Fable if you played it. If you decide on choices that are a bit more evil-like, those evil choices will show up on your appearance. I feel like this book goes a little bit that way and to that direction as well, because the sister, the way Astrid seems to be looking, is just extremely unsettling for anyone who's not as evil as she. And there's beauty to that, but obviously she's very unnerving to look at. And both of them are so white, and everything around them is so white, although they drink blood. And that's why when Kel gets a bit tipsy, he says like, it's amazing how you keep your clothes so white. And then the most unsettling thing is probably the veins, because they just pop out so much because she's so thin and consumed by her evilness basically, and magic. And because I think she steals magic through blood from other people, because it's maybe like a drug. I assume it's probably very addictive. I like how they were written, is my point. Honestly, I really want to know more about Holland. It's a Holland. I feel like there's so much more to the story, and I can't even begin to imagine what it does to a person to be bounded to somebody who you probably despise. And he has scars because they make him cut him for his blood, and they enjoy it. The Dane brother really enjoys it, and like he's like Reek. I know I keep making Game of Thrones references, but I imagine him a bit like Reek. He really enjoys torturing people and really enjoys that they have to listen to him. I feel like these siblings did not have the best childhood, and they were really deprived of love to make them be so messed up. But I feel like authority gives them some sort of drive. The fact that they make him, basically they feed on him, they feed on his magic, is so disturbing. And yet it could be done in a more humane manner, even, you know, if there was no other alternative. I don't know, I appreciate a well-written antagonist, and I feel like these are. I strongly believe, though it is a little bit of a cliche, but I strongly believe that Kel was just about to get rid of his habit of getting trinkets back for himself, and because this was his moment of being like, nah, it's okay, and it's not gonna be his fault anymore, because the trinket, well, the letter from the woman found him. And I feel like this is where shit's gonna get real, and like things are gonna go badly for him, and he's gonna be caught with it or something like that, because obviously he didn't want to, so we can't really blame him, which is convenient for a reader. It's just usually how it goes. This is where I am now. I'm just gonna go on Goodreads to check if anyone maybe wrote something. Laura Diana is saying, I just love how it's getting darker and darker. I wish I could read faster. Oh man, I feel you there. I'm dying to know what's going to happen. Yes, I absolutely, I just love how dark it's getting, and I just love how evil everyone is, and just love it. Seb Panel, I'm sorry, this is the person I'm talking about. That one. Ignore the ad. Saying, totally agree with you about the characters. Have you ever accidentally started a sequel of a book thinking it was the first one? I did that with Akamath, and I was overwhelmed. Oh no! I was like, oh, okay. Oh, they're fairies. Okay, I think I get it now. Oh, who's that? Oh my god, I can't even imagine. Oh, it never actually happened to me, but I hope it doesn't, because that sounds horrible. Maria is saying that she loves the writing style of this book. It just flows so naturally. I know, I really agree. Writing style for so far, obviously I'm not very far in, is the best thing about this. Lena is saying, I finally started this book after getting a slightly destroyed one. Oh, in the mail. Had to send it back, and now I have a good copy. So far I think the world is really interesting and I want to know more. But now I'm at work, so no magic for me. I know, it's so hard, and like sometimes I bring the book with me, and then like the worst part is when I read on the train, which is great because but I don't have a lot of time to read on the train because it's a short trip, and I read on the train and I'm just like, I really don't want to put this down now. Like, I wish I didn't even started it, because now I have to face like 7 or 8 hours of working without reading this, and it's just not fair. I feel like readers should be allowed a, you know, a 10-minute break every now and then to read, because it is an addiction. I don't really know the smoking policy at my work, but I imagine that people go and smoke if they smoke. So why can't we read if we read? You know? Do you know what I'm saying? I knew it was a trap. Just turned this up to say that, because I knew it. I knew it! That bitch! What has she done? So as I said, and as I suspected, shit got real. So this is the black stone that I'm talking about. It's when he comes back and realizes that it was all a trap, and finds the stone that's apparently like a source of magic of some sort, but maybe a little bit corrupted or just very strong. I have a feeling that the stone is alive, which makes me really sad, because this is very similar to what I wanted to do in one of my books if I'm ever gonna write it. And I had that idea, very similar, not exactly the same, but similar. Now I'm just like, man, you know when you have an idea and you think it's original and then you read it somewhere and you're like, shit. Moving on from that sad moment. So basically, and then he gets followed by some weird, I assume enchanted maybe people. Maybe this is from some sort of organization, but it is interesting that the people who follow him seem to be part of the royal guard. I'm not sure if they were in their actual minds or if they were controlled, like, and that just makes me feel like maybe they were sort of set to retrieve it and that's all they could say. And because also just before the other one died, like something flashed in his eyes as if like he got rid of the spell for that split second before he died. So I assume, but I don't know. But it's funny because when they actually follow him to his safe place, he says, who are you? As if he's expecting them to actually turn around and say who they are, which is, you know, it's funny. Like, why do you even say that? Like, I would probably say the same thing, but it's just funny seeing it in writing. Then the next blue tab, because blue is for funny, if you haven't seen my tabbing video. The next blue tab is actually not something that was supposed to be funny in the book, but it's just something that was funny for me because I didn't read it correctly. So it says, Kel pressed his hand to his shirt front, as in the front of the shirt. What I read was Kel pressed his hand to his shit front, and I was like, okay then. Shit front. That scene where we realize that that stone is something a bit else than just a pure magnification of your powers, and when the stone interprets his command into like stop and goes to like turns into this black smoke that just surrounds the guard or whatever, the cutthroat guy, and just suffocates him with time basically. That was insanely good. This is like an unpopular opinion, but like sometimes I just skim over, like I usually, this is why I read quite slowly, is because I don't skim anything. I will always read everything, but sometimes the only exception is fight scenes, because I'm just like, there's just so much detail and so much description in fight scenes. But this one was so badass. I enjoyed it so much. There was I could feel it. I could feel the eeriness of like the whole smoke thing, and I love it. I love it so much, so much. I'm thinking that magic might not have the, you know, corrupted and pure stages. I think it must be just interpretation of people who are afraid of the more powerful, controversial side of it, because, you know, they're afraid of it, so they just call it like evil or whatever. But I feel like it's probably open for interpretation, so I think the stone might be some sort of original source or something. I don't know. It seems to be alive, seems to be very addictive though. Maybe it's like a parasite, you know, like maybe it needs a body to live and do stuff through. That would be cool. And then he runs to the only world that he thinks is sort of safe from the perceivers, and that's Grey London, because obviously it's supposed to be like all magic free and just boring. The chapter started with like a tiny chapter of Lila, and I was like, I really don't care that much. Maybe, I don't know, the whole like pirate thing, I'm just like, I don't like pirates. And it shouldn't really like have anything to do with that character, but I didn't really care much. But I know that she's gonna play like an important part, and I do like her character, just maybe not enough for it to actually have a viewpoint. I'm probably gonna end up liking her a lot. Finally they meet, because they just bump into each other, and I'm just like, yay! I'm actually like really excited for those two characters to meet and start something. And I thought maybe she's gonna help him, and like, then how did I not even think about it? Of course she robbed him, and I'm just like, bitch, why? Why, girl, why? Explain yourself. This is so not okay. Did she think that he's rich? Like, why? Why did she do that? I need to go check the Goodreads page for this and see if other people felt the same way about her action. No one posted in there. I'm gonna post it only saying that bitch in all capitals, because that's what I'm feeling. So it's Tuesday the 18th. I am just halfway through the book. Okay, so I think my suspicion that the magic can or could work as a parasite seemed to be sort of confirmed in the next chapter after I said that. You know how it says, slowly the man, or rather now, the thing inside him lifted his head. It seems like that magic is using the body of that person. I do like Lila. I like her though more when I read from a perspective of Kel than when I read from her perspective, because then I don't know her stupid thoughts behind her. Obviously I feel like we all relate with her thrive for adventure and just not wanting to be boring, and like life must be more than this. But holy crap, she's just so frustrating to me. She's not like a stereotypical-ish character, but she just frustrates me. I don't know why. I feel like, can you just like calm down and think about what you're doing? Especially, who does that? So this magical artifact I just summoned from thin air using a overpowered rock of pure black magic. Well, pure magic, whatever. So I conjured the sword. I don't want it though here, so I'm gonna throw it out the window, which makes it sorted. Like, what? Who? I love that bit, and I laughed so hard when Lila created a second Kel for her to basically striptease. Although like obviously it got scary pretty quickly when he sort of started turning self-aware, which was just insanely creepy, and then they sort of murdered him like it's no big deal. So yeah, and then the part happened with the strange man stabbing himself and then being basically corrupted by that magic. Again, no biggie. Oh yeah, so obviously tada is Holland. Who's surprised? Not me. I really do feel bad for him though. Like, I feel like he probably was... I feel bad for all of the people in White London. I don't know how much can I truly blame them for how they are and what has been done to them, because they were left there. Red London, everyone seems to make this Red London the London, but they left people. They just condemned them to like suffering. I don't know, I'm just not as fond of Red London as people seem to be. And I do really sympathize with Holland, for his situation must really suck. Obviously that doesn't excuse how he's acting and that he's using Lila to get Kel, but he is, so obviously then Kel goes back because obviously he's a good person, so he goes back. And then that scene was so amazing. I just love how this magic bit is written, so it's not like all, you know, sparkles. It's very eerie. You can hear that everything around goes so still, and then when the stone is used, like, it's just this mist that just creeps up on you and you don't know what it's gonna do and you don't know how to stop it because it's not really substantial enough, so it can just be mist that just is turned to basically stone, but when you reach for it, it just turns back to mist. Like, that's how I imagine it. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's such a eerie feeling and I just love it. I love every scene with that stone. Holland attacks him, and I do believe him when he says that he and Kel are not matched. as in Kel is clearly... I found it actually very refreshing that he was afraid of death, that he wasn't one of those like, I'm not afraid to die, and he was like, no, yes, fuck yeah, I'm afraid to die. I feel like that makes him even much more of a likable and interesting character than compared to all of the, you know, like, I'm not afraid to die, do you think I'm afraid to die? It was refreshing. And then out of nowhere Lila comes back, and I'm just so glad. But I don't know if Holland was actually wanting to kill him. Then she was like, am I late? And it's just, it was fun. And that's when I really started to like properly like her. It was like, yes, you go girl, until we got to her chapter and she was like, why am I here? Why did I come back? Like, what the fuck? What am I doing? Like, I wish I didn't. Like, oh, trouble, there's such trouble all around. And I was like, I enjoyed it when you were just like spontaneous there without overthinking things. I like that. Which is a first for me to say about the character. But magic is in the blood, but I don't think it is. I think that magic was probably in everyone. They just got like lost, they just lost touch with it. I'm just thinking that, I don't know, because I think that Lila is gonna have some sort of, at least an ability to somewhat control it. I don't know, you know, because like I just feel like there should be. And yeah, and Baron gives her the soup, and Baron, those guys always get in the middle of shit. He was so kind, so kind, and not pushy, and just so generous, and so like silently in the background being the anchor for this like wild, unsettled girl. Some one point in like in her existence that is always sort of stable, and he's just so kind overall, and then he gets killed? Are you kidding me? Like, no. So I love this book for actually not avoiding death, but also hate it for killing Baron off. So I don't actually hate it, but damn it. So her hunger had finally caught up with her fatigue, and the cold in her skin was quickly becoming the cold in her bones. So she took the soup and mumbled a thank you, and added the cost to the coin she already owned, as if this kind of debt could ever be paid. Like, it's such a simple quote, like it doesn't have like fancy wording or anything, but it's just so true. It's just, I liked it. They spoke, he told her about the history of the Red Londons. There was really a good quote that I liked. It was something that Kel said. He said, purity without balance is its own corruption, and I just thought like, and then he has the revelation that I feel like everyone everywhere knew, that obviously he realized, and he knew as well, that he needs to put the stone back to where it belongs, which is the Black London. And then Lila is saying that she wants to come, obviously, and then he pulls the usual, we? There's no we, which was a bit like, oh, come on. We've been there, come on. Come on. And blah, 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 blah. So I'm just glad that they didn't argue for too long, and he was like, yeah, sure, fine. And then I found this I'd rather die in an adventure than live standing still quote, which I think was on like so many things. It's just really sad that she doesn't say goodbye to Baron, and then Baron dies, and I'm just like, are you kidding me? No, it's not okay. This is okay. Yeah, and then out of nowhere she sort of kisses him, which I also sort of liked, you know, like for good luck. And then she does this thing where it brings her so much charm to her character, when Kel gives her the cloak, and then she gives her the handkerchief. I'm in the park and I have my book. Yeah, I think I cut off yesterday, but yeah, I read a little bit more just now, so I thought I'm gonna go through with you now, cause fancy in the park. The park's closing, so okay, bye. Apparently, parks also close. So anyway, I'm home now, obviously. So this is when they go through the portal or the door, whatever. and then Rai is noticing Lila when she's just in the crowd. I'm not sure why, maybe because obviously they can probably, although he's not very magical, so I don't know if he would be able to smell her scent of Grey London, or if that's like a special thing that only Antari, is it Antari? Oh my god, I can't remember things at all. I really love this bit where the stone is sort of reacting to Kel's presence, and Lila saying that the stone gave a strange little shudder in her hand as if it felt Kel and wanted to be with him. Lila felt vaguely insulted. I just love that. I feel like that's how I would feel. Then we had a chapter on, well, sub-chapter on Aldous Fletcher, and I was like, I don't know why is he important, but then obviously a little while further we realize that obviously this is the person that's gonna have the only piece that basically allows him to pass to White London, which is because he clearly despises Kel. They don't have like the greatest history, and I assume that Kel was sort of like a pompous ass before in his previous life, you know, just like previously. But I sort of like his character. I don't understand completely about the wrist binding magic or whatever, that Kel always felt quite hesitant towards calling the royal family his family, because he always felt like he's property, and I feel like this is gonna be the underlying feel for him, because obviously he had everything. Well, compared to Lila, he had a lot. Zeus, oh my god, that doesn't mean that you have freedom. Like, I feel like it's quite different, the deficits that they faced in their life. So it was really revealing and quite touching when he just lost it, when Lila was insisting on asking like, who are you really? I'm a possession, a trinket. So you see, I grew up in the palace, but it's not my home. I was raised by the royals, but they're not my family, not my blood. I have worth to them, and so they keep me, but that is not the same as belonging. And obviously Lila is like, boo, which is fair, but at the same time not really, because you can't do that. You can't go on comparing problems, because they're not as easily comparable. Ooh, hello. They're not as easily comparable as one might think, I think. And then we get to the inn, and the inn is burned down, which I should have seen coming, but I just didn't really think about it. For some reason I didn't think that Holland is gonna be there already, but he was, obviously. Whenever the stone is used, I find it so brilliant. Like, I don't know, something about that stone, like I love it. And so he asks, someone like commands the stone to hide them, and the whole scene of Holland teasing them and teasing Lila, saying, shoving that watch with some blood of Baron splattered all over that, and then for the first time we sort of see, well, for the second time now really, we sort of see emotions of Lila come through, and she says that she wants to be the one that slits his throat at the end, and there's a lot of sadness, and I feel like, you know, it's so unfair. But like the way they hide is brilliant when the dust just falls through them, and it's just like, good man, I like that. Having one of those evenings where I sat down to read, and like I just sitting on my phone on Instagram and YouTube, not reading. And this is where we get a first perspective from the magic's point of view, or the being of the stones stuff point of view. He's going back to the beacon of the magic, which is that inn, and I'm just thinking, there is a fresh body in the inn that we know of, Baron, and Magic Thing needs a host. Is he gonna take Baron and like just make him badass? Like, on one hand, obviously that's wrong and I shouldn't want that to happen, but on the other hand, I bloody want that to happen, because Baron then would be sort of like not out of the picture. So what is going on? I don't understand. I'm just at the point where they have basically taken Kel back to the palace, or at least I think they are, because that other guy just killed Fletcher. Why? What's up? What is happening? And they basically dragged Kel in the carriage, and like, what is happening? I also like how it's getting harder and harder for Kel to control the call, basically, of the stone, because he's clearly getting sort of addicted to it. Scene though, where the magic is spreading from the dead guy to what I believe is a prostitute. I'm not sure, midnight lover. And they're saying, I have been busy, basically. And the whole scene where they're pulsing together as if it's a... That sounded... I wasn't even sure. It was sort of implied they were having sex, but maybe it just was like a transference from one body to another. Like, in this page, the magic seems like an STD. Sharing's caring, but not always. I cared about those guards. I'm not okay with this. Much sadness. They seem like such nice guys, and I think they were like super young, weren't they? Okay, we have a comment here. It's from Garidation, but the name is Maria. She says, unpopular opinion maybe. Okay guys, am I the only one who is not enjoying it that much? Oh no, I'm sorry to hear that. I am enjoying it, clearly. I don't know if I did bad. I'd like to make that clear, but I had such high expectation for this book and now I find it somewhat lacking. Let me explain. 1. Lila. I find her a bit unlikable so far. Yeah, I sort of agree. Sometimes I can't stand her, but sometimes I like her. I didn't like that she went all righteous on Kel when he gave just a hint that maybe he was a bit unhappy with his family. Yeah, I said that as well, I think. Sure, Lila's life was 100 times harder and she had it rough, but does that mean that she can tell off others for being unhappy? Yep. I agree. Number 2, some part of the plot seem forced to me, like for example a random chapter about this Fletcher person who has a trinket from White London. It was there just so a few pages later Kel's rooms could be burned down, and oh, I know a guy. So sad to hear that. I am really enjoying it. I didn't actually, I see exactly what you mean though, for the maybe the plot being a little bit convenient, let's say that, but I actually enjoy it. I don't enjoy it when they overflow it with a lot of random chapters. I like it when they're relevant. So I'm sad you're not enjoying it, but sometimes, you know, sometimes the book is good for some people, sometimes it's good, not that good for the others. And I also find that for me at least, it really depends on the time I'm reading or like the mood that I'm reading in. Sometimes I might read a book that I might really enjoy if I only read it a year later, a year earlier, a day or a month earlier or later, you know what I mean. If you're not enjoying it that much, that's no biggie. It's sad, because you know, whenever I don't like a book, I'm really jealous of people who do. So I hope it gets better for you, but I mean, we're at this point now, so hopes are probably not high. See you tomorrow, or the day after, or whenever I get a chance to sit down again. Bye. Can you believe I stopped at this point and then I didn't read for a while? Anyway, we had this long chapter where basically Lila is getting her clothes, which was boring. It was really one of those like descriptory, full of descriptions basically chapter that are just not about. And then we go to a chapter where there's a lot of plot twist. Boy. So he comes back and then there's Rai sitting there just chilling, and I was like, I thought he was harmless. I really did. And then obviously further into that chapter, I never told you it was a stone, and I'm just like, because I still remember at the very beginning how Holland came to visit him, and I was like, it has to be something to do with that. And so it was, because they said then hello flower boy, and obviously that's not something that would come out of his mouth. So that was cool. It was really funny when he asked, what are you doing here, and said, isn't it obvious I'm branching out? I don't know why, but for me that was so funny. And then of course now I'm just thinking, first of all, I'm loving this because it is true, that's how you win it. I think it's a really good strategy. Anyway, and so now Lila, I'm just thinking that Lila is literally going, and she's gonna, I hope this is not gonna be it. I hope it's not gonna be like Lila coming into the room, Kel being tortured to the point where he's like fainted, and she will look at the person next to him and think it's Rai and just trust him and give him the stone. I like that the villains in this book are giving a proper reason to become villains, because I mean, what were they expecting when they sort of just shunned a whole population away from safety and then left them to their own devices, battling the whatever's coming from Black London, all hungry for magic and stuff. I understand their frustration and I understand that their city is dying, and when people are threatened like this, they can do crazy things. And I mean, just the mentality of people in White London, I feel like it makes me more sympathetic towards them, which is always nice. I don't like it when they're just like bad for no reason. You know, the woman that possessed Rai, said, when Kel said, you already have a throne, and she said, in a dying London, and do you know why it dies? Because of you, because of the city and its cowardly retreat. It made us a shield, and now it thrives while we perish. So it seems only just that I should take it. She has some logic there. She was speaking about with that they want to destroy the door, so there would be like a free movement thing. It just reminded me of the whole Brexit thing with Europe and, you know, the open borders and stuff. Maybe UKIP wrote this book. I hope not, because I'm liking it. And then the bitch fucking stabs Rye. Seriously, she just like stabs her and then somehow just sort of travels into like a random person downstairs. But what was the plan there? She didn't know that the necklace is gonna be in somebody else's like hands. What was the logic there? And then so they go into the safety, into the school or like a priesty place. What was it called? I don't remember, but you know what I mean. Something really interesting happened there. So obviously he goes all fucking weird and irrational, and he's like, ooh, you know what's gonna be a good idea? I don't know, resurrecting the dead using black magic. That sounds safe and, you know, fine. I mean, we cannot blame him because people do shitty, stupid things when their loved ones die, and obviously I don't feel like anyone blamed him, but like, I mean, you could. You know, if you were just thinking about the greater good or whatever. I really did enjoy how the bit was written when he sort of couldn't feel the heartbeat, and he just like, he was gasping and he just said, I can't, and I feel like it's sort of like a more realistic representation of grieving, because because usually we get like a whole monologue of people when they're just realizing someone has died, but like that, I don't think that's the case. I feel people would be in shock and just like couldn't speak because they're just hyperventilating so hard. So I like that. And then he uses some sort of weird black magic. Basically it's like Parabatai thing, and they're just connected, and as long as one lives, the other one does. And I don't know what sort of connection they're gonna get there. Maybe we're gonna get some Akko-Matthew vibes there, maybe not, or just something. I feel like something's gonna come out of this more than just what we already see. I wonder also if Rye is gonna now have more power, because he's sort of been infused with this stone, because we know he didn't have much before, but I'm thinking that maybe he will. I wonder if his personality is gonna change. Like, I'm interested in Rye basically. Like, I like this, I like where this is going, I'm curious, I'm happy that this happened, and obviously morally is probably all over the place and people will have different opinions about this one, but I'm happy because it's interesting. For the first time ever, probably, I like that Lila didn't just do it for the sake of adventure. She is starting to properly care about him, and she's sort of seeing a bigger picture here, because, you know, she wants to save it, the world and everything, you know. So I like that, because boy, she annoys me sometimes. She really does. But I have a theory as well. She doesn't have an eye, because just before they go through the door, the master sensei dude stops her, says, when did you lose your eye? Because apparently she has a glass eye. I reckon that maybe she has some sort of power, and that eye, maybe she was supposed to be Antari. Is that the word? You know what I mean. Maybe she went through the door, not because Kel was with her, and maybe because she had a stone, but maybe the stone on a pure grey Londoner would not have worked, but it did work on her, because maybe originally she did have magic, and maybe they just ripped that black eye out because they were afraid of, I don't know, people, I don't know, burning her on the stakes or something. I don't know, like, just she had to fit in. Maybe her parents, although it's not by blood, is it? Anyway, that tub had a pull on her, and we already know that Kel said that it does to him as well. I just feel like probably she was already magical. For some reason they got to get rid of the magic, and the black stone is now only just enhancing what she already has. It's gonna be interesting. I'm like fairly certain about this theory. I know it's crazy, and I only have the part where she doesn't have an eye to go on, but I'm like fairly certain that's gonna be the case. And then, and I know this shouldn't be sad to me, but it is, and then we sort of stab and finish Holland, although he's not dead. But he's like, he like semi commits suicide, and it's just the saddest thing ever, and he sighs with like relief, and it just breaks my heart. I know he's a douche, but he's a douche because he's fucking just the unluckiest man in the world. I was sort of wondering when we're gonna see that boy again. Well fucking played. If only the person that he thought is gonna go through the door, he thought he probably would have a heart, and Lila clearly, well, she does, she spared him, but how sad is that? The boy was like, please go through me. Well, if I were a normal person, I would be crying. It was so gruesome though when he started cutting himself. I thought that he actually ordered him to kill himself the further she goes, so it would stop her doing it or something. But no, he was just clearly putting some sort of translation rune or whatever. Anyway, much sadness. Poor boy. I'm just at the point where Lila is approaching Astrid, and I'm just like, it's gonna be a trap. It just can't be just that. She's not gonna just be, maybe she's pretending to be not in her body, because damn, you're gonna be a trap. Oh, look at this. It was a trap. Kel killing Astrid. Hell yes. Lila asked, how did you know? And she said, please. Okay, so Kel is fighting the shadowy dude, and Lila is noticing that there is some blackness over his heart. Is this where she's gonna just attempt to do magic or something, like heal him? Did he just dispel magic? Like, did he just... What? What? How did he just dispel magic itself? Was this magic itself just an artifact and wasn't like the sort... I suppose it was, but... What? Aw. This feels a bit anticlimactic, but it's still sort of cool, but... Mixed feelings. Wait. Did Rai just die as well? Was the thing not actually lying? And if it wasn't, why didn't it just bring that up before? Because of clearly Rai at some point was just happy to do whatever for it. Shivered and fell still. That doesn't mean that he died though. I don't know. I don't believe in until they show the body and say specifically that he is dead. If I learned anything from Game of Thrones is that if you do not see the body, then the person is not dead, and even then they might still be alive. Oh my god. Did he just send Holland when he's still alive? Did he just damn him further? Can he not just fucking kill him already? That is so cruel. I think that's super cruel. I know he's a douche and I know he doesn't really deserve like a lot of things, but I still feel bad for him. He's not even dead, and now he's banished to the Black London. Like, this is gonna bite him in the ass. Is this gonna be like the main antagonist for the series? Because I can see this going wrong. Dude, it's one of your enemies. It's not dead. You're sending it somewhere where magic is literally eating people alive and just overtaking everything. Do you not see a way where this could go wrong? Aww, he kissed her. But also I'm just thinking they're going home now. But do they not remember? We don't actually know if he's welcome there. We finished it. I'm sad and happy. I really love it. I want to know more about Rai. He's cheeky. I love and hate him. More love than hate though. He sounds a bit annoying, but I want to know more about him, and I want to hear more of his jokes, because I feel like he's gonna be one of those comedic relief characters, which I'm okay with if they have substance. But I don't want him to get Lila. I want Kel to get Lila. I mean, they kissed. That has to mean something. I suppose the Queen and King took the news the best they could. Although I do think that they love Rai more than Kel. I'm just saying. I can't wait for Rai to actually learn that he was dead. That's gonna be interesting. I can't wait to speak to you about this. So let's. You guys were absolutely right. I loved it. It's such an amazing book. Anyway, goodbye. Goodbye. I am so happy you guys voted for this book, and that this book won, and that I read it. And I know it took me the whole month, but I love the journey of it. I think it was like the Night Circus. I just didn't want it to end, so I sort of slowly read it throughout the month, and I really hope you can hear me, because boy, that's loud. Let me know if you loved it as much as I did. I still haven't decided on the I think actually I will give this a 5-star. Like I'm letting this book to settle down in my mind because I don't know. So sometimes I just rate it and then I change it. So I don't want to say for sure, but I think it's gonna be 5 stars out of 5. I love it so much. Please feel free to chat with each other and with me down in the comments. I hope you enjoyed this. Let me know if you agreed to certain things that I said, or if you completely disagreed. Let me know if you guessed the plot twist correctly or things that I didn't guess. And if you enjoyed this, make sure to check out the announcement for the month of May and join me there as well. I say join me, but I mean like join each other as well, because I want this to be like that. Anyway, thanks so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. Have a brilliant evening, morning / lunchtime, I don't know. And I will see you very soon. Bye!